Snooker fan? Want to play better and avoid frequent mistakes? How do you lose a snooker match? Discover the snooker match no-nos? Ready to break negative habits and improve your snooker game? We'll discuss how mistakes can ruin a win. Let's address the key issues. Are you making these blunders unknowingly? Can one mistake alter everything? Discover the rules of snooker and become the player you've always wanted to be. Mistake number 1. The initial error was obvious, as the cue ball was unable to make its way through the necessary path in a smooth manner. This finally led to a loss of control, which resulted in poor execution of the shot. It was obvious that the player's first contact with the cue ball was not optimal, which is what caused it to deviate from the trajectory that it was supposed to take. The player had difficulty exerting the necessary impact on the movement of the cue ball as a direct result of this blunder, and the implications of this error became instantly obvious. The momentum of the cue ball was thrown off due to a contact that was not as smooth as it could have been, which led to an unexpected consequence. The player was unable to exert sufficient control over the cue ball, which made it difficult for them to correctly position it for the desired shot, and undermined the effectiveness of their entire plan. The player's level of frustration increased when the subsequent shot that they took did not live up to their expectations, placing them in a precarious position on the table. As I reflect on the event, it became abundantly evident that the inability to navigate the cue ball in a fluid manner was a crucial mistake, and that it had cascading repercussions on the subsequent shot as well as the overall performance. The player needed to concentrate on establishing a stroke that was consistent and controlled in order to improve their shot execution and recover mastery over the game. Only then could they hope to make progress. Mistake number 2. Club players, in their pursuit of power and dominance on the court, frequently give in to the temptation of applying excessive force and jerky movements rather than perfecting their technique and attempting to execute their shots in a smooth manner. This is because club players tend to have less experience than recreational players. They are so intent on outperforming their rivals that they fail to recognize the significance of dexterity and accuracy in their performance. These players could use more force than is necessary for their shots in the vain expectation that their superior physical prowess will be enough to win them games. On the other hand, taking this strategy frequently results in sloppy play and a loss of command over the path the ball takes. The abruptness and disjointedness of their movements show a lack of attention to detail and refinement on their part. These club players put more emphasis on overwhelming their opponents than they do on perfecting the nuances of their technique and maintaining fluidity, which has led to a style that is marked by unpredictable and disjointed moves. They might be stifling their own potential for progress and limiting their ability to fully flourish in the game if they disregard the fundamentals of the game and the elegance that comes with delivering a smooth performance. For sustained achievement on the club circuit, a strategy that strikes a healthy balance between brute force and dexterity is required. Mistake number 3. The error became apparent in the game of billiards when attention was diverted to the player's bridge hand. The positioning of the cue such that it was parallel to the surface of the table was a crucial factor in determining how accurately a player could shoot. Unfortunately, an unintended deviation from the chosen course of action took place, which resulted in unfavorable repercussions. It is of the utmost importance to keep a steady and unchanging cue bridge, which calls for an in-depth comprehension of the game's fundamentals. It is essential for the player's grip on the cue ball to be both firm and flexible in order to facilitate controlled motions and accurate blows. Because the player deviated from the recommended parallel alignment, an element of unpredictability was introduced into the game, which put the player's shots at risk of not being accurate. The player needs to be more disciplined and attentive to their bridge hand in order to correct this error in judgment that keeps happening. They can increase their overall performance at the table and reduce the likelihood of their shots going off in the wrong direction if they maintain continuous adherence to the parallel path of the cue. The player will not be able to eliminate this problematic flaw and regain their previous level of skill in the game of billiards until they engage in deliberate practice and pay precise attention to their technique. Mistake number 4. Some players, while attempting backspin or screw back shots, mistakenly introduce unintended side spin and miss the mark as a result of their technique. These players frequently raise their bridge hand while aiming downward in an effort to generate a backspin in their game of bridge. Unfortunately, this change might cause you to lose control of the cue ball in some situations. By raising the bridge hand and aiming down, you can run the risk of the cue stick striking the cue ball at an angle, which will result in unintended side spin being applied. Because of this, the cue ball deviates from the path it was supposed to take, which results in shots that are less accurate. To achieve backspin, you need to strike the cue ball with your cue stick in the center and in a smooth manner. This delicate balance of power and precision is essential. Players should concentrate on keeping a level bridge hand and striking the cue ball in the center of the table in order to avoid making this typical error. They can boost their odds of successfully performing backspin or screwback strokes if they do this, while also decreasing the likelihood that they will unintentionally introduce side spin. Mastering these more difficult strokes requires a lot of practice, attention to technique, and focus on where the cue ball makes contact with the table. Mistake number 5. Players frequently commit the error of hitting the cue ball in such a way that it imparts undesirable side spin. This inaccuracy frequently results in missed shots and can have a significant impact on the player's ability to play accurately. It is absolutely necessary for the players to strike the cue ball right in the middle of the pocket in order to attain precision. The object ball receives a spin from the cue ball when it is struck off-center, which causes it to depart from the path it was supposed to take. This divergence can be large and often results in missed shots, which leaves players frustrated while giving their opponents an edge. Players need to concentrate on striking the cue ball precisely in the middle of the pocket to avoid making this common error. They reduce any unnecessary spin and provide a more accurate shot by doing so, which is the purpose of the action. A player's ability to perform well at the pool table can be significantly improved by mastering this method, which involves practice and focus on the task at hand. This error makes the cue ball strike with an unwanted side spin, which can lead to missed strokes. Players need to aim the strike ball in the center in order to preserve their precision. This will also prevent any spin that was not intended and will improve their overall gameplay. Mistake number 6. The practice of placing the cue ball on the brown spot and utilizing a deliberate strategy to move it along the spots at a controlled pace is one of the most common and frequently advised practices for improving accuracy in the game of pool. In this exercise, the cue ball is moved along the spots in a clockwise direction. Players strive to improve their precision while simultaneously developing a stroke that is more consistent when they use this technique. A consistent launching point for shots can be established by positioning the cue ball so that it rests on the brown spot, which is situated in the exact middle of the table. The purpose of the game is to strike the cue ball with the correct amount of force and control, forcing it to travel across the table and stop at the location on the table that corresponds to the target that is sought. Players can improve their ability to judge and control the amount of force that is applied to the cue ball by engaging in this activity on a consistent basis. The regulated tempo makes it easier for players to maintain proper positioning, which in turn enables them to execute their shots with a greater degree of precision and predictability. Players of the pool can in the end improve their overall performance on the table by engaging in this advised practice. They can do this by increasing their accuracy, developing a stroke that is more consistent, and elevating their overall performance. These are the snooker errors that everyone should abide by in this video. Hope you like it. Kindly like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.